Hey, what's up, fight fans? Welcome back to another installment of Around the Mat, the show that begs the question, why? Why are you guys doing this with your time? We're so excited that you guys are here today. There's been a lot of stuff happening in Jiu-Jitsu. Some might say too much. Those who do are no longer our friends, but today we've assembled a panel who are going to tell you what they thought about all the events that have been happening in Jiu-Jitsu. Joining us today, we have my co-host from Verbal Tap Podcast, Kevin Phillips. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Raph, I'm excited to talk about the one issue that matters, who showed the most ass crack at Worlds this year. You get that grip, you pull it down, that's the real winner.
Keenan Cornelius had just come up with the worm guard. If you were to create your own jiu-jitsu move or specialty, what would it be called?
I've thought about this a lot, and it's called the rodeo.
Okay.
It's a combination of back take, but you extend a hand forward while pulling off a choke, and you have to stay on for 8 seconds.
Next, we go over to our friend from the Take It Uneasy podcast, Lex Friedman. How are you doing today, Lex?
This is really embarrassing. I thought we were here to talk about the most important competition that happened this weekend, which is the World Team Trials for Freestyle Wrestling.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. What move would you have created, and what would you have called it?
I have had the pleasure of having the name Lex, and Marcel Garcia inventing the X guard. So there's a lot of very funny people that have called my X guard the Lex guard. So I would have to stay.
The circles you hang out with, woo, right over my head. Lex, it's a pleasure to have you back. I'm glad you're here. But let's go over to our new guest and friend. You know him, you love him. From BJJ Breakdown, John Evans. John, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to see you.
Hold on, can we stop real quick? You are in too high a definition. Do you notice how better your camera is than all of ours?
You know, it's I think my camera is the exact same one that you guys all have. It's just that YouTube, Google Hangouts, it knows where the money shot is.
Like, John, you have perfect lighting as well. Yeah, we're gonna gloss over money shot. But like, you look like you're lit, like you're on a Hollywood set.
You guys aren't?
John, what move would you create, and what would you call it?
Yeah, I would create a pass, and I would call it the early bird pass. And I'm not saying that it defeats the worm guard, but
Is it for the Masters division?
It's a pass.
You have to be 86 to do it.
Why you gotta be ageist?
Slam dunk. Oh, man, that was almost too easy. Guys, we have so much to talk about. So as many of you know, Worlds just happened, and there were a lot of matches. This was one of my first experiences. I actually got to watch it live and in color with John Evans. And we filmed a whole bunch of matches, and we're going to try and bring some of those to your attention here in case you haven't seen them. But first off, we want to start with the question, who were you most impressed with at Worlds? We'll go ahead and start with Kevin.
This is easy. I was most impressed with Felipe Pena. I haven't seen anyone give Andre Galval a fight like that in a very long time. He kind of beat him at his own game, which is those clever transitions and kind of capitalizing with some mistakes versus some highly technical sweeps. I was impressed.
Did that look like something that you would have expected just on paper between those two?
I'm going to say something that's pretty blue beltish, but I didn't really even know who Felipe Pena was. I think I might have seen him fight before, but this was the moment I was like, who the fuck is that guy? Why is he so good?
Lex, who were you most impressed with?
We got to see a lot of new black belts this time around. The Meow Brothers, Keenan. This is, I believe, their first Worlds. I was most impressed with Meow Brothers. If I have to pick one, it would be Paulo. With Dave, they were almost both won. They were almost world champs, and they put on an amazing performance.
What was it about them that impressed you?
Well, the most impressive thing for me was how disappointed they were at getting silver at Worlds.
You're such a dick. Come on.
It was so beautiful to be disappointed at getting silver at Worlds, and your first Worlds as a black belt is amazing to me. It means they have so much heart, so much passion, so much love for the game. That was to me the picture on the podium when they look like they just like hands over their eyes, like crying, and everyone else is smiling. I love it.
God, you really are from Russia. My favorite moment from the Worlds was when all of the crying happened.
Yep.
I think this now takes us nicely over to John Evans.
I also really liked Felipe Pena. Unlike Kevin, I knew who he was. I've trained with him back when he was a purple belt, and the guy, he was phenomenal then. And if you don't follow Copa Podio, then maybe you wouldn't know who he was.
What a dig at him. Those in the know, Kevin Phillips.
He gave Leandro Lowe a run for his money at Copa Podio, and Leandro Lowe is one of the best in the world at black belt. Of course, Felipe is a little bit bigger than Leandro, but it's pretty impressive. And ever since then, people have really been watching him. Of course, I think he also got double gold at purple belt at the Worlds, and he got brown belt. He won his weight division. He got second in the open weight by just a narrow margin at the very end. The guy's a beast, and then to see him come out there and do that to Galvão in the finals, man, it was very exciting.
Kev, do you feel stupid now? Do you feel like you should have known who he was that whole time?
Honestly, just feel tired because of having to hear John Evans talk for that long. I'm good, and if you've seen the Copa Podio, it's like, Jesus, he didn't ask for an encyclopedia show about Peña's resume. He asked for most impressive at Worlds. That aside, yes, I do feel a little stupid.
Now we're going to transition over. What match were your must-see matches? We'll start with Lex.
I'm going to go weird on this one.
No, not you.
As a wrestling
Shocking.
fan, as a fan of aggression, dominance, and battle on the feet, I'm going to go with maybe an unpopular person, but brown belt, heavyweight, Tim Spriggs. The man showed dominance on the mat, and he showed incredible aggression on the feet. And there's nothing I love to see more than that. Like, going in all out in the first 30 seconds as if the match is going to last 30 seconds. And he's prepared to go the whole time at that pace. There's nothing more I hate seeing than guys like stalling out for the most of the time and exploding at the very last minute. This guy was ready to, he was hungry, his life depended on it to submit in the first minute, and he did. And he won the final in a really dominant way. I forget who he fought even. It's a quick clip. Somebody good.
He was so impressive, he made me forget the name of his opponent.
This was a show of dominance where you don't even remember the opponent.
Hey guys, good news. If you were playing a drinking game, dominance was the word that would have gotten you alcohol poisoning. John, what were you most impressed with match-wise?
Edwin in the open was...
Oh, God, yeah.
Amazing.
Those who didn't see it, John, can you explain what happened there?
Okay, so there's this guy from Atos who... not Atos, I'm sorry, Alliance. My team.
Oh, my God. John, it's your own team.
I mean, I knew that.
Shut up, Kevin. No, you didn't.
No, this guy from Alliance, Nicholas, who is just killing everyone. I think he was on course to pull the Keenan at purple belt and getting the Grand Slam. He was winning everything at weight and everything at open weight. And he's just ruining people, and he just came off of winning the Abu Dhabi Pro. I believe he won the weight and open weight in that too. And he was doing the same exact thing. He won his weight division, which I think is medium heavy. I'm not positive, but I think it is. And then he was going on to the open weight, and he beat everyone in the open weight, and then fought Edwin Najmi, who I think he fights lightweight now at purple belt in the open weight for the finals. And Edwin Najmi, I mean, the whole match was, spoiler alert, probably about, 10 seconds, 15 seconds it seemed. It was so quick. Edwin just runs out, flying triangles, Nicholas, the guy that's been ruining people, just like it was nothing, taps him out and takes the gold.
If you've been to a Worlds, you know how long these days can go. This was a grueling day of competition, and that's the very last match that you got to see. So everybody's kind of wondering, do I go home? Do I stick around for this last match? All right, let's see what Edwin's going to do here. Oh my God, it's a flying triangle! And if you were there, you had such an adrenaline rush. I couldn't go to sleep just because of how exciting that was, and it was really fun to see, and I think it was a great end for his story. It was a great fitting end, not just for the evening, but for Edwin. So we want to say congratulations on that. That was really, really impressive to see. Kevin, what were your must-see matches?
Well, first of all, I love it when you guys use the phrase flying triangle. That's always my personal, and I will drink for it after this. You got to watch Buchecha versus Alexander Trans. That fucking final of their weight division. Anytime you get to see Buchecha turn it up from a 3, which is what it feels like he's normally fighting at, to a 9, it's art. I don't think he thought Trans could get to side control, and when he did, he just looked really confused. Like, oh God, I forgot this could happen. And that was the last thing Trans did.
No one makes me bleed my own blood. I think that was.
I haven't been on
process.
bottom side control since '94.
Let me ask you this, Lex. You had mentioned that you were a little disappointed. Can you explain what your disappointment was?
First of all, I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm disappointed with most things in life. I've read too much existential philosophy to not be disappointed. Life has no meaning. We're all going to die, and there's no reason to go on. So I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Were you or were you not disappointed in something at Worlds? If so, what was it?
Okay, so I would say I was disappointed at how little happened on the feet.
Okay.
Stalling and casual movement there was on the feet in the black belt divisions, or looking for the guard pull. Like even Rodolfo Buchecha, there's way too much feeling out, and I was just hoping for more stuff on the feet.
Like, I actually really agree with Lex on that one. It's something that I think kind of is a big knock on sport jiu-jitsu is that they don't reward the takedown enough. You know, like it's hard. It's really hard to put it into points terms, and especially if you're doing submission only, who's to say a takedown's even worth going for? You know, like because if there's no points and maybe you're a guard player, then whatever, you're gonna pull guard. But for sport jiu-jitsu, point jiu-jitsu was made. They have the time limits and they have the points to mimic a real fight. Because if you get submission only, you get you'll see like Galvao and Metamoris against Huron, where you know Huron just lets him mount him like 5,000 times, and if it was MMA, he would have just gotten punched in the face a bunch. That is not great. But if you're looking at trying to mimic a real fight, you have to reward the takedown, because in a real fight, you're not going to go out there and pull guard. Typically,
You're not?
unless your guard's like ridiculous. The takedown's very, very important, and it's such an art. And unless we do something like give a negative point to the person that pulls guard, people are not going to really have enough incentive.
Okay.
Well, there's another idea. Lovato Jr. proposed in the Safe Jiu-Jitsu movement. Like, you don't give 2 points for the sweep. So if you don't give any points for the sweep, then that would incentivize the takedown more, because then there's no reason to pull guard.
Well, you know, funny thing, Lex, I didn't ask you how to fix it because I was going to ask Kevin how to fix it. So, Kevin, now that he's taken your answer, how would you fix it?
I wouldn't. I don't understand why we're trying to turn sport jiu-jitsu into more of a judo-friendly match. And first of all, go watch JT Torres versus Leandro Lowe. You'll get all, or Lepre, excuse me, you'll get all the judo you can handle for the first 3 minutes. Sport jiu-jitsu, guys, not judo. You can get takedowns there, so I'm not fixing anything. I like the way it is.
People do argue that...
Who are people, John? Say their names.
A lot of people. That the people that come from the world of sport jiu-jitsu, they'll go into, say, UFC, and if they can't get right to their game via takedowns, which usually the MMA guys are all working takedowns, so even if they're at like a medium grade high school level with wrestling, typically they can stop a lot of the takedowns from a lot of the sport jiu-jitsu guys, and that is not a good thing at all. If you want to see the sport jiu-jitsu guys continue to do well after sport jiu-jitsu and go into something that is hopefully a little more lucrative, because sport jiu-jitsu not very lucrative, then yes, the worlds, they do not get paid money for winning the worlds, which is crazy.
What?
I know, but...
Wait, why are we doing this then? Shit, we're never going to make any money.
Are we getting paid money?
I am.
Yes.
Am I the only one that's not getting paid? I'm out of here. I would like to see the sport jiu-jitsu guys be able to do well in MMA, and I think that will never happen unless we reward the takedowns more.
Lex, I'm sorry. I
Go on.
promised him 40 seconds to talk about some other event. What other event are we supposed to talk about, Lex?
Hold on a second.
What are you doing? What is that? Is that headgear?
My friend, that is indeed headgear. How's my hair look?
Terrible as always.
I can barely hear myself speak right now, but yes, the real worlds. So first of all, the jiu-jitsu worlds includes 2 nationalities, as far as I'm concerned, Americans and mostly Brazilians. So it doesn't even count as worlds. But the real event, and Ralph is like checking his cell phone as I'm talking. You're very excited.
It's called time. Look at this. You have. You're wasting your time.
26. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, anyway, it was the World Team Trials for freestyle wrestling, and there's like this big thing going on, which is all the best wrestlers for America are all stuffed in a single weight class. the 74 kgs. Jordan Barros, 2-time world champ, Olympic champ. Kyle Dake, 4-time NCAA champ. ESPN Athlete of the Year. I hate you, Raph. And there's 2 other guys. They went at it.
Your time's up. Here's the thing.
And I am going to finish the sentence saying that wrestling was much easier to explain to my girlfriend than jiu-jitsu. And there's something to be learned from that.
That you're terrible at explaining things?
Yes, that's true. But
don't discount that.
It's much easier to explain 2 dudes like hugging each other and then throwing each other than it is.
And then how do you explain jiu-jitsu? Hey-o! But obviously, we want to give props to our wrestling brethren, so I'm going to allow you to finish your thought because, and I say this a lot, their plight is our plight. So, of course, we want to support them. How are ways that more people can support them? What do we need to know about that tournament?
What you need to know is that there's a lot of exciting wrestlers in all the divisions. There's guys and women. There's a lot of women wrestlers, and you can expect those women to also show up in MMA. So there's a lot of talent coming out through the high school system, through the college system, and some of them going to the Olympics, some of them switching to MMA. Fuck you, Kevin, and I'm done. But
no, but you said you're done.
No, one more thing. Check out Flow Wrestling. That's something that jiu-jitsu is lacking a little bit. Flow Wrestling is this community of videos that people put up that it's like this hub for videos on wrestling. I feel like jiu-jitsu is lacking that a little bit.
Address the elephant in the room. Kevin, where are you at? What's happening with you?
What? I'm sorry, I was just, I have a problem where I check out when people that aren't interesting me start talking.
Is it that he's boring you because he's Lex or because he's talking about wrestling?
Oh, God, it's hard to say. Hold on, that's a dynamite question, Rap. Okay, start telling me something wrestlers-wise. Yo, wrestlers do MMA, wrestlers do flow jiu-jitsu. What was interesting? What can we glean from them? Is it high takedown? What kind of matches are we talking about here? Or is it mostly just going to look like 2 wet cats fighting? Because that's typically what I get when I watch a high-caliber wrestling match.
I'd like to take this moment to say the opinions voiced here are reflective only of Kevin and not of those of the Verbal Tap podcast. If you would like to send hate mail, you can do so at PhillipsKevin1 on the Twitter, or you can find him on Facebook and let him know what you think of
Kevin,
it.
just make sure you never travel through Iowa or like Ohio because you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have to wear a mustache.
Oh, God. Iowa and Ohio? I'll try.
All right. Well, one thing I should take away, one thing that really worked is a recent rule change in wrestling that I think jiu-jitsu might take on, consider taking on, is the shot clock. What happens is when one guy is called with stalling, the other guy gets 30 seconds to score points, to get a takedown. And that creates some of the most exciting scrambles you could see. So jiu-jitsu needs that.
It would at least alleviate some of the horrible IBJJF rules like going to ref's decision or something like that. Does any other sport have this completely subjective way of declaring a winner?
John, what's the trend right now? What do you see that's most prevalent in IBJJF right now?
There's a lot of 50-50. A lot of 50-50. I play 50-50. I like to play it aggressively. I wish there were heel hooks allowed. I think it makes it more real.
Definitely.
But and it also would deter a lot of the stalling for 50-50 or a lot of the other problems that other people were having. But a lot of 50-50, even from the lower belts, you're seeing 50-50 to straight ankle lock all over the place. And that's just interesting. That seems to be the hot game right now.
It's so hot right now. Is it Keenan level hot right now?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's pretty up there. It's pretty up there.
Nothing's Keenan hot.
Well, apparently getting DQ'd is Keenan hot right now.
It's going to make me angry. Please stop.
I know. Kevin Phillips, I'm going to ask you right now, was the DQ justified?
No, it was not. First of all, the heel hook has to be on for it to be a very dangerous reap. And it was the line on the chest bullshit, which I heard explained very well by John Evans on the most recent Verbal Tap podcast. The imaginary line, look, do what they do in professional sports of this caliber that you have the capability to do. Go to the replay.
Whoa. Did you just say replay?
Yes.
Actually go and watch it again? You're acting like these refs are going to go watch this match again? The refs are tired. They're like, dude,
I'm acting like Keenan Cornelius is one of the few watchable qualities that IBJJF has left, and they should be reviewing these on a case-by-case basis, and especially when it's close and finicky.
Like usually, I think Kevin is 100% wrong. Let's start with that.
Don't worry, so does most of life, but that's okay.
No, I think the rule when you watch Keenan get DQ'd, it looks ridiculous. But the reality is, perhaps for black belt, it's ridiculous. But for lower ranks, if you saw the kind of dangerous stuff that goes on, I feel like it's best interest of the athletes to protect them from their own stupidity. At like white belt, blue belt, even purple belt, but it's much rarer at purple belt, is the kind of stuff people do with their legs can create some very dangerous positions. So I feel like the reaping rule for at least lower ranks is a good idea. Whether you should get DQ'd or get a warning, I feel like a DQ really gets a point across. Like he's got the whole internet talking. So now everybody who's competing is going to be a little bit careful with their foot. So at least the result, while it might be ridiculous, it's going to keep people safe, which I love.
I think the immediate DQ is crazy. Like it's just it ruins the sport. Like Kevin said, you have a really exciting fighter like Keenan Cornelius, who first year at black belt is just wrecking people. And I mean, just to have him get taken out of the tournament because of this really kind of ridiculous situation where he's not attacking the knee or the foot at all. He's just using it, and he's lanky, so his legs are kind of all over the place. It's hard to keep it off of that center line from around the side. Also, one of the best places that you can set up your footlocks is from the knee reap position, and you don't necessarily have to put pressure on the knee or heel hook with it. But for like a straight ankle lock, when you reap the leg, you can hide your own feet on the far foot. So it's really, or on the far leg, it's kind of neuters the sport a little bit, and I think especially at black belt they should allow that to go.
Dear IBJJF, I'm going to give you each 20 seconds to go ahead and address the IBJJF right now. That means I want you guys to go ahead and tell them what you think they can do to better improve all of their competition at the Worlds. We're going to go ahead and start with Kevin. You've got 20 seconds on the clock. Go.
Number one, let the black belts fight at a black belt level. Do not put restrictions on our world-class athletes. It's kind of like adding a little extra free throw stripe for professionals. They moved the three-point line back in the NBA. You should do the same in Jiu-Jitsu. Second, for the love of God, figure out a scoring system.
Okay, next.
No
We're
way!
Go
that was 20 seconds.
20 seconds, you idiot.
No way!
Lex, let's go ahead and go to you.
Hey, IBJJF, you guys are doing a great job. Continue running an amazing tournament. You have grown jiu-jitsu from a little disorganized sport to like an international event. You're putting together an amazing number of events all over the world. Continue doing it. Ignore the haters. Ignore the internet. Keep doing it.
Let me see if I can sum up your point there. Ignore the haters. Is that what you're banking on right there? Okay.
Yeah.
Add a shot clock.
I don't know. Let's go over to John Evans. 20 seconds.
Get rid of all the DQing. Get rid of the knee reap rule. Get rid of heel hook. No heel hooks allowed. Get rid of no spine locks allowed. Let it all happen at black belt level at least. Let them play, like Kevin said, and figure out some way to change the rules so there's some overtime or some decisive way to do it without adding that subjective, this guy's the winner.
Lex, let me ask you this, because you're basically a yes man for the IBJJF at this moment. What did you see that was wrong with what was going on in the IBJJF?
I do feel there's a lot of guys who specialize winning by advantage. They pull guard, and they are very good at not letting their guard get past and tying you up with the grips, like the warm guard, tying you up with grips, and then just holding on for getting a few advantages by almost sweeping, and then holding on to that lead that way. And that's, you can't do anything about that. That's not IBJJF. That's like the jiu-jitsu culture. That's up to the coach of the guys. That's up to us to criticize those athletes.
I don't know, though. The players are going to play within the rule set given to them, and like just like in wrestling, right? Like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Like it's just because like wrestlers get a a bad reputation because they'll just they want to win. That's what they do. They work hard and they want to go out there and they'll do whatever, right? So it's not like they're playing dirty or anything. They're just really, they'll do whatever they can.
They're playing the game is what they're doing.
They're playing the game. So if you change the rule set to not allow for these certain things like the ridiculous stalling, stuff like that, then I think you can't fault anyone at that point, because then if they're going against the rules, then they'll just get called on it. But I think to fault the players now, it's maybe it's not very exciting, but if they're trying to win, then maybe that is their best way to win.
Kev, I'm going to throw this over to you. Hate the player, hate the game.
Just confused by the IBJJF support child now criticizing the key strategy that people are using with the advantage points. Hate the game. The rules are made the way the rules are made. People get on the mat. It's not like you can get upset about the rules of chess that I don't know halfway through a chess match. You watch it, you play by it, you don't.
Is that it?
That's it, though. You should watch Rodolfo Vieira versus AJ Asgrave if you're upset about advantage points. That'll cure you of your ills.
I think it brings up a nice transition, which is, guys, on the Black Belt Sunday for the Worlds, there was also another competition. It was the Eddie Bravo Invitational, where there was basically just a submission-only format. Am I correct on this, guys?
Yes.
So. Yeah. One of the matches went into like triple overtime.
There.
I believe they start them in a position where it's advantageous to submit, and then they flip the position if they don't get a submission out of that. So it'd nearly be like starting in referee position in wrestling and then having the other person start in referee position and see if they can get more action out of it that way, which I think is a pretty innovative and, maybe they don't have all the kinks worked out of it yet. I'm not sure entirely, but it seems way better than going to decision or something like that.
It's definitely a very creative approach to getting rid of having the refs involved in this. I'm going to go throw this over to Kevin. Do you think it made for more compelling matches, though?
I just love the different formats in general. I think every time we see a group like Five, we see the Eddie Bravo Invitational, we see Metamoris, we see the sport becoming more of what we're sitting here talking about, which is we don't want to just be a $220 fee only tournament where we have to abide by these points rules. So I'm all for Eddie Bravo, getting in there, and I'm sure he upset more Gracies in the process, which,
It's always the goal, isn't it?
It's the goal here. I enjoy it. So.
I don't know that it's the goal. Again, these are only the opinions of Kevin Phillips from the Verbal Tap Podcast.
On Twitter.
Lex, what do you think? Do you think submission only is the way of the future, and if so, why?
So I did 3 submission-only tournaments, and I love it. I love it so fucking much.
Love something?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Really?
I love vodka and submission-only tournaments. So those are the 2 things.
There must be a lot of crying.
I feel like that's what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be. I'm like actually having fun. I have a smile on my face. To be able to get swept and get your guard pass and then recover it, and it just feels it's great.
You
it's
get a
fun.
smile on your face to get swept.
Yeah. No, well, no, wow. no. But the problem I do have is that it works really well for white, blue, and purple belts. But I feel like I've seen a lot of high-level guys like black belts do like 90-minute matches, these long matches, because they're so good. They have so few holes in their game that they just can't submit each other, and then. It's like, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's you're gonna have to put up with 2-hour matches,
I agree with Lex. It's the way jiu-jitsu should be. Jiu-jitsu is great the way it is, right? It's not jiu-jitsu that's bad. It's the way that we have it in a tournament setting with the rules and everything. That's what needs to be perfected to show how great jiu-jitsu is. Because when you're just moving and you're passing guard, you're playing guard, you're submitting, that stuff is it's amazing. It's physics, and it's just incredible how far we've come from where jiu-jitsu started. But to be able to showcase that seems to be the hard part. And I think a form of submission only is the right way to go. But we got to figure out how to make the matches not so ridiculously long, because they get over 30 minutes, they're damn near unwatchable.
Here's what we do, and I think I speak for everyone. We take 2 jiu-jitsu fighters, we put them in a submerging cage. They basically have 10 minutes before it fills up with water to get out the door. They fight until someone either does or does not make it, and then, I think we're going to know who won.
Will we?
The fans.
Well,
fans will win.
Okay.
I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of successful formats that already work. ADCC has arguably the most successful one, which is give them a time period.
John's face.
Give them a time period where it's submission only.
Kevin, say what you just said again, real quick.
I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel. ADCC already has a pretty successful format.
Yep, okay. There, John, comment on that, go.
You and I were both at the UFC Expo last year in Vegas and interviewed Jeff Glover, and that tournament that he was in there was the first 10 minutes were submission only, no points, and then after that it went to points, and he just straight out said that I was worried about the points, so I just stalled for the first 10 minutes and then waited until the points were there and then win. And I think a lot of players do that. And then also ADCC just has like a bajillion overtimes, which kind of doesn't make any sense to me. If you watch Cabrini and Hoffa's match, I think it was 40 minutes long or something.
Somewhere, I think, before the Tai Chi halftime show, but definitely not after the 30-minute celebration of just open mats.
Hard to remember anything after the Tai Chi halftime show.
It was beautiful.
I know. I've never forgotten it. You know, I think this is a great time to transition. We actually have a guest who competed in a 51-minute match at Dream Jiu-Jitsu's Baddest Brown competition. So let's go ahead and bring him on. Let's go ahead and talk over with Brian Carlson. Now we are joined by the winner of the Baddest Brown Invitational from Dream Jiu-Jitsu. We are joined by Brian Carlson. Brian, how are you doing today?
Doing well, man. Just hanging out, recovering from that awesome tournament.
For people who don't know, it was a 32-man invitational that was submission, no time limit.
Yeah, and they had a little twist in. They flipped a coin right before each match to determine whether it was gi or no gi. So you didn't quite know what to expect.
And did you flip what?
I got 5 no-gis in a row. Every match was no-gi.
Hey, my first question, because I love the flipping, did you prepare for both, or did you just say, screw it, I'm a no-gi fighter, or were you just, what was your mindset going in?
I probably trained no-gi maybe 6 times in the last year. Like
no shit.
Train in the gi, yeah. And me and my training partner, James Strader-Smith, we've just been running tournaments like every other weekend. We've been traveling across the country, hitting as many tournaments as we can, and they're all IBJJF, so they're all gi tournaments. And the week before was Worlds, so we've just been hitting it hard in the gi for Worlds. I like scrambled. I got 1 day of no gi in right before, and man, I'm just glad my game doesn't depend too much on grips.
Apparently. Oh shit, that's impressive. Was 51 minutes the longest match you had?
At the tournament, it was, yeah. It was freaking grind. It was with Sebastian Broche, who's a freaking animal. I think he beat one of the Meow brothers last year. He took 3rd at Worlds this year at brown belt middleweight, and man, that guy is really good jiu-jitsu.
Minute 32 through 39. Did you just blank out and think Orange is the New Black Season 2 is killing me with some of these plot twists? What was your mindset?
Man, I went into it knowing he was really good. So my whole strategy was just wear him out, wear him out, wear him out. I love long matches. Like, the longer a match goes, the more into it I get.
Okay.
I catch that second wind, and I just feel good. So I was drawing that out, waiting for him to get frustrated, and man, it worked. Like, I heard him start to kind of grunt and groan towards the end there. I was like, okay, I got him. I know I have him now, and kind of turned it on.
Okay, so that's a yes. You were thinking about Orange is the New Black, minutes 32.
Yeah, I went to my happy place.
Okay. If I can really ask you, I don't want Kevin to put words in your mouth. Where was your happy place? Are we allowed to know?
I'm actually a huge nerd. I love math and computer science and stuff. So, like, if I start to get tired, I start doing, like, math problems in my head and kind of, like, just, like, logical problems. It's kind of a weird thing, like a weird little...
Okay, well, good for you. I mean, I'm obviously going to refer to you as nothing more than a nerd from here on out.
Raph, how dare you call him a nerd? I'm a computer science PhD. And
yawn. That just means you went to school for a long time and you looked at a computer. We got it.
Real men either do math or chess, and then drink a lot of vodka and fight.
Lex, I like you already, bro.
Anyway,
You'd be the first on the podcast to do so. Let's go over to John Evans.
How
John.
did it feel bringing a double-headed coin to the event and being an Eddie Bravo, I guess a brown shirt? Because clearly no one flips 5 times for no-gi. That seems crazy.
I calculated the probability, actually. It's just over 3% that happens, that you get 5 no-gis in a row.
Of
It
course
sounds
you
like
did.
you had
While
time
were
to do
competing,
that
right?
during the match. Yeah.
Man, I love the gi. Like, I love training in the gi. No gi's fun, but the gi is just so much more dynamic for me. Like, I have way more fun in it. So that first no-gi flip I got, I was like, oh, come on, give me a break. The second no-gi flip I got, I was like, okay, this has to be the last time. And then I got the third one, no-gi against Sebastian. I was like, oh, man, I'm in for it this round. And at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going no-gi all day. I had given up.
That seems so crazy. You said you only trained it maybe 6 times that year for no-gi, so you probably, mat time-wise, maybe trained, competed no-gi more the whole last year than you ever trained it. I mean, that just seems so crazy to me.
I think that's probably accurate. Luckily, I was actually talking to my training partners about it today. We always think that the transition from gi to no-gi is way easier than from no-gi to gi. And we're lucky. We come from a school where we emphasize both really strongly, especially in our fundamentals programs. So I definitely have that no-gi background. Like, back when I was a white blue belt, like, every other class was a no-gi class. So I definitely had that fundamental background coming into it.
Where are you training at?
I train out of Easton Training Center in Boulder, Colorado. So we got some good guys. We got Maul Easton, who's a old school badass, and I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this show.
Oh no, you've broken the show.
And we have like Elliot Marshall, who used to be in the UFC. We got some really good guys who help us out here.
Train in Colorado. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Are you high altitude at all?
Yeah, we are a mile high.
Okay, so do you feel like the high altitude, I'm not going to call it a Chael Sonnen-like advantage, do you feel like that plays a part in why you're able to roll for 51 goddamn minutes in a row?
It definitely helps. Like, I go down to sea level, and like up here I can maybe run like, half a mile and like feel okay. And I go down to sea level and I run, and it's like, oh, this is easy. I could do this forever. So you definitely notice a difference. It's funny because you only feel it like in the cardio stuff. Like, I don't feel much stronger. I just feel like I can last a lot longer.
What was your match duration like preparing for Worlds, also knowing you were doing this Dream Jiu-Jitsu?
We actually had a really good camp this year at Worlds. We had a black belt, Matt Jubera, who helped us out. He trains up in Longmont. He's a solo Hibero guy and a freaking animal. And so we had like a really very diverse training camp. We did some days where it was like you would just do 2 minutes, first one to points wins. And then other days we would do 25-minute grudge matches just to kind of keep our bodies guessing and, let our styles kind of heal up and form for Worlds. So we had a great Worlds camp getting ready, and it played really well into the tournament as well.
Man, that's awesome. Now, you fought Sebastian Brochet, like you said, who did beat one of the Mio brothers at the open weight, and that guy, he's generally noted as being the best guy from Europe. I mean, he's in Norway now, I think, but he's from Sweden.
Yep.
And, I mean, he is a killer at brown belt, just killer. Knowing that you were going up against him in the gi, or in no-gi versus the gi, did you feel a little bit better about that, or were you not sure about his no-gi game? Did that matter?
Yeah, so, I mean, I definitely knew who he was because he's definitely an animal. I was definitely hoping for the gi against him also, just because I'm so much more confident in my gi game than my no-gi game. So we got the no-gi flip, and I was kind of like, okay, I guess it's on. Like, just start looking for the leg locks, toe holds, because at that point everybody was so slippery, arm bars were out of the question.
Sebastian's a good friend of mine. I talk to him often. He's a vegan. He's a sort of peaceful warrior. He does yoga. That's his big thing. Well, let me ask this. It looks like he was in dominant positions a lot, like on your back and side control, and you were really calm and escaped them. efficiently. So what was going through your mind? You know, that's the beauty of block submission only matches, right? Is it doesn't matter where you go as long as you escape the bad positions. What were you thinking in all those times?
Yeah, I think we actually calculated. Like one of my buddies told me he ran up like 75 points on me. I was like, oh God, I hope it's not that bad.
First of all, dick move, teammate. Let me just say that. I was keeping score, and yeah, I mean, you were losing 1,000-0, but you won anyway, I guess.
It all went with my strategy. Like I said, I was just trying to wear him down, like make him mentally frustrated, mentally tired. I was trying not to let him get into any too, bad positions where I was like, oh God, I can't get out of this. And he definitely had me there a few times. Like there were a few times where I was getting worried, but luckily it all worked out. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned the yoga because we were actually stretching together before a match, and he was like, "Oh, you're really flexible." I was like, "Man, I saw you like doing a back bend and touching your face to the ground before." And so we started talking about yoga because I do it as well. So yeah, Sebastian's a great guy. I really like him. He's a great competitor as well.
You mentioned off air they had to take a break in the 51-minute match to wipe down the what?
We had a few blood stoppages and a few sweat stoppages. There was just like puddles on the mat. It was getting kind of gross and gnarly. So luckily we got a little break and they cleaned everything up for us.
Okay, did you do the math on how much blood you lost? I'm sure you could have figured that out in the time during the match.
I actually get a lot of bloody noses, and I was stoked. I only got one this at the IBJJF tournaments. I know all the medics by name because I see them every match to get my nose plugged up. I was like, cool, one bloody nose, perfect. I'm so happy with that.
Was that the toughest match? What was the other? What was your other toughest match of the tournament?
Probably my first match, just because I'd never done a submission only, and I got the no-gi draw first, which I'm obviously not super comfortable with. So I just had those nerves going. There was so much unknown. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to play out. So just kind of the mental aspect of that first match, getting it out of the way, kind of getting used to the format.
Yeah, is there that mental switch between a points-style match and a submission only?
It's not even the submission only. It's more the no time limit. Like just going from a time limit to a no time limit is the hardest transition because I actually really like the longer matches. I kind of play a slower paced game, very methodical. I try to make I want my jiu-jitsu so that the guy knows what's happening and he can't stop it anyways. It's just kind of like my nickname at the academy is the Glacier because I just move slow and constrict people. I do like the longer matches, but just being able to kind of play off of that, you don't get to do that in the time matches as much. So being able to really play to that strength helped me out a lot.
For me, I'm hypoglycemic and I have to eat every hour and a half, 2 hours, or my blood sugar goes in the toilet, and that with nerves, the adrenaline dump, everything, and then it's bad enough just doing a normal tournament where maybe you do IBJJF, you have to go 3 or 4 to get out of your bracket, and then if there's 20-minute waits or whatever between the bigger fights. But if you're doing a 50-minute match, and I mean that just seems crazy to me. How do you keep yourself healthy and stay focused during all of that? Are you eating in between? Are you eating small meals? Are you just powering through it? I mean, it just seems so crazy, and dehydration seems like it would play a factor because, like you said, they had to mop up the sweat off the mats because it went so long.
Funny you bring that up because, like I said, I was staying at my grandparents' house in California and she's a Jewish grandmother, so basically all I did for the entire week was eat until I burst. I put on 10 pounds between Worlds and when I competed at Dream. And I was actually a little worried because I was like, oh man, I put on a lot of weight. I'm going to be lethargic during these matches. Luckily, I had all that energy stored up. And so I actually didn't eat the entire day. I just wasn't hungry. I was just drinking water and coconut juice. And
straight from the coconut, or was it store-bought?
No, store-bought. I wish we had...
Our listeners want to know. I'm just asking.
Just like Brazil, right? Get those coconut vendors at the tournaments. That's going to be the day, man.
You said that you prefer longer matches, right? So has there ever an opponent that broke you where, did what you were trying to do to people, inside a match, inside even an IBJJF 8-minute match?
No, I don't. I can't remember any time that's happened, especially in the IBJJF, because they're so short. Like, 8 minutes isn't. I'm used to going for a long match. For me is like an hour. Our head instructor, Amal Easton, loves those type of matches as well. So we'll get together and just hit it until somebody quits, and those sessions last for a while. I always try to be the mentally stronger fighter. There have definitely been instances in the IBJJF where you're kind of in there and you're like, oh man, I'm tired, but you kind of let that hit you for a second, and then you go, wait, I love this. That's why I'm here. Like, I love this grind. I love it. So sometimes it'll hit you for a second, but then you just kind of let it roll off your back and get back to what you were doing.
A lot of what we were talking about up top was the difference between this and Worlds. In your view, you did both. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your differences and experiences between Worlds and the submission only, no time limit.
I think the main difference is a lot in the setup of the whole thing. Like, the Dream was at a little bit of smaller venue, a little bit more intimate. Before the matches, like, I was hanging out with all the other competitors. We were joking around, talking, and then you kind of hit the mat and, okay, it's time to go. At Worlds, you don't really get that camaraderie. You don't really know who you're fighting next. You have all the Brazilians coming up that you've never met before. You've never seen them on the circuit. And then you're in this huge venue, which is cool in its own right. Like, you have thousands of people watching you. It's streaming live. All your teammates are back home. But it definitely puts on, I don't want to say pressure, but there's definitely a sense of tension there that you do that intimacy kind of took away. And it's nice. It's a much warmer environment at that intimate level. At the Worlds, it's kind of cold. Like you hit your match, they rush you off the mat, and then you just kind of hang out and wait for your name to be called again. All the refs were super nice. Dan and Sean, who ran the tournament, were kind of looking out for us the whole time, making sure we had everything we needed, and really taking care of us. So that was really nice.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question. You were set up for it, right? If you didn't see it coming, you're terrible at jiu-jitsu, or at least interview jiu-jitsu. But here we go. You can only enter one tournament, IBJJF Worlds, or another submission-only tournament.
I like the submission-only, those long matches, and just kind of taking it back to the roots. It was a lot of fun. I think it was probably the most fun tournament I've ever done. And I'm not just saying that because, I'm on the podcast or whatever. Like, I love that format, man. The IBJJFs are fun, but the submission only, there's something about it that just brings it back to its roots, and no excuses at the end of the day. If you lost by an advantage, you can kind of go, oh man, what should I have done different? Like, maybe I shouldn't have done that sweep. I should have let him get up and tied up the advantages before I did something. Submission only, like, no excuses. At the end of the day, you know who won.
We were actually talking about this earlier. What do you think? Like, submission-only tournaments, unlimited time, have any future?
It's tough because, like, you're watching the match right now. Like, it's kind of a boring match to watch. There's no real forced action until the very end, and it's exciting to be there, especially if you know somebody, because there's all this tension. Like, it's been going on for 50 minutes. Both guys are tired, and then somebody catches a submission, and the whole place just went freaking crazy. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
But like, for the casual observer, like, if we want to make this a spectator sport and start to get some audience around it, it's tough to say just because you got to have the patience and the technical know-how to really enjoy a match like that.
You won the whole tournament, so there was prize money involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
So, what do you mind telling us what the prize money was?
It was $1,000, which is cool. It's definitely the first time I ever got paid to do jiu-jitsu other than teach it, So it's cool to finally have that money in and kind of see it starting to become like a real sport where people can start to really invest their time and make a career out of it.
Don't get used to that money. That's not happening in jiu-jitsu all that often.
I was just going to say, how does it feel to have won $1,000 more than Shesha for winning the open weight of the black belt division?
I think it shows you who's more important in the jiu-jitsu community, right?
That was honestly the best setup and execution that has ever been done on this show. So compliments to John Evans and Brian Carlson. Let's go over to Lex Friedman.
What advice would you give to people that are trying to break through? Like I've won New York Open, Chicago Open, but I haven't quite broken through. What advice would you give to guys who are just trying to, purple belts, brown belts, trying to make it to the podium?
The biggest thing is just to keep competing. Like a lot of guys, they'll kind of, you hit roadblocks. Like you'll get into the quarterfinals, and then you'll get into the quarterfinals every time, and you're like, come on, man, just let me medal. It just takes that time. Like you gotta kind of, you gotta get mentally used to winning. I was talking about this with my teammates today also. Like it's easy to get stuck into the habit of knowing you're supposed to lose, right? Like if you go into a tournament and you see some tough guys and you're like, okay, I'm going to meet this guy in the quarterfinals, you already have it in your head that you're going to lose in the quarterfinals, and then guess what happens? Lose in the quarterfinals. You got to get over that, and you got to kind of, be ready to win. Like prepare yourself to win, know you can do it, and make it happen. Just keep getting out there. And then the other thing is, like, if you're looking for sponsorships and stuff, be your best own advocate. Like, social media is your best friend. Start repping guys without them even asking, and they'll start to come.
Do you have sponsorships right now?
I actually don't.
Can we shout out any sponsors for you right now?
I actually don't have any sponsors right now.
Right. Let's take care of that right now. Best selling point to get sponsorship. Why should somebody sponsor you? In 3, 2, 1.
Look at this face.
Not a good selling point.
Okay, here's the thing. You just won a tournament in which you were rolling for how long? You did the math. I know you did.
Yeah. I think total I had about an hour and a half of mat time.
Great. Now, we're not even computing how many pints of blood you lost and how much sweat that you lost, gallons, if you would. So what we thought we would do to help you out here is we're going to have each one of the panelists sell you in 15 seconds. So we're going to go down the line. We're actually going to start with Kevin Phillips. Kevin Phillips, sell Brian Carlson and why people should sponsor him. Go.
The baddest brown belt from Denver, Colorado. Let's get high with Brian Carlson. That T-shirt sells, 50,000 shirts.
Let's go over to Lex Friedman. Sell him in 15 seconds. Go.
Humble warrior. That's the best kind. Represents what Jiu-Jitsu is all about. And, prefers the long matches, prefers the grind. That's what everyone admires.
John Evans, you've got 15 seconds. Sell Brian Carlson, please.
How does Brian Carlson not have any sponsors right now? He beat Sebastian Brochet, who is one of the best brown belts in the world, in a submission-only no-gi tournament. It was no-gi for him. And he's trained no-gi maybe 6 times in the past year. Like, how is this guy not sponsored? It's so crazy.
I'll tell you this right now, world. You want to sponsor this kid because not only is he humble, not only is he going to give you the best bang for your buck, but he's also going to rep it at every tournament because he's not going to stop. So why would you be stupid to not be seeing it at every tournament around the circuit? Well, Brian, we want to thank you for taking time to talk with us today. Do you have any last words or shout-outs that you want to do right here?
Quick shout-out to all my training partners over at Easton Training Center, especially Maul Easton, Elliot Marshall, James Strader-Smith, Mike Tusignan, Ian Lieberman. Those guys are the ones who helped me get ready for all these tournaments, and we've all come up together. It's a great friendship we got going on.
That's fantastic. We want to thank you not only for enduring an hour and a half worth of rolling, but also for enduring a conversation with us because we know that's grueling. But thank you so much for your time, my man. Congratulations again. It was really awesome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
Guys, we're going to go ahead and close up our whole review of everything Worlds and I guess everything that's been happening in Jiu-Jitsu. So what we're going to do is we're going to give each of the folks on this panel 25 seconds to just give their closing thoughts, maybe mention something that we didn't get to talk about. We are going to go ahead and start with Lex Friedman. Lex, you have 25 seconds on the clock. Go.
I just want everybody listening to this to take 10 seconds of their time as I silently and think about how hot Keenan is.
So hot right now.
Yeah, he's really hot. So I think, in all seriousness, he's an incredible innovator. I mean, the guy brings out new techniques to jiu-jitsu. I can't wait what he does in the years to come. That guy put on an amazing performance.
I like that you set your 25 seconds just to say how wonderful Keenan is.
Yeah.
Keenan, if you're watching this, send him like an autograph or something. I think that'd be nice. John Evans, you got 25 seconds. Go!
I don't think I touched on some very important matches. Two of them involve my friends and training partners, Ram Ananda, who won the brown belt worlds at, I think it was light feather, and he is 36 years young. So
awesome.
It's the adult division. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. And he went out there, he had like 6 matches or something. So I think that's incredible by itself. Also, Isaac Doderlein, he went to the finals against Marcio Andre, and Marcio Andre, too. These are 2 people that we should really be looking at black belt, because they're going to be getting their black belts pretty soon. Marcio already got it. He got it on the mat when he won. And the decision at the end, you know, the points, they're even questionable, too, but it doesn't even matter the outcome because it was a fantastic match to watch. If you haven't seen it already, go back and watch it. Both those guys are just killers. So that one was huge. Also, Bia Mesquita, it was awesome to see her finally win the openweight division. Gabby Garcia was out with like a rib injury or something, and she defeated Michelle Michelini, who's much smaller, but also one of my favorite fighters too. So it was a great final. And then Lucas Lepre versus Toshi. It was just cool to see Lucas Lepre just be so dominant, and it was a little unexpected. So great match, though.
Those of you at home may wonder why John got more than 25 seconds. That's because John can beat me up. He's within close enough vicinity to come find me. So when somebody teaches you jiu-jitsu, they get more time than everybody else. Sorry, them's just the rules. But for reals, 25 seconds go to Kevin, and I will enforce these 25. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's shocked to hear that. Thanks, Michelle Michelini. Thank you, Tammy Musumesi's elbow joint, for giving us the most memorable moment of the world's performance. If you haven't seen it, please Google it. Send your comments to BJJ Breakdown, and maybe a response of your face as you watch that elbow break, not just the first time, but definitely the second time.
Guys, we want to thank everybody here for sticking with us, watching the interview, supporting Jiu-Jitsu for the past couple months. It's been a wild ride. And guys, now that we're about to close this installment of Around the Mat, I have a really cool announcement to make.
What is it?
I'm happy to announce the beginning of no-gi season, everybody. Get rid of your gis. It's no-gi season. Yep. So,
Freedom!
I guess that means we will see you back very soon on the next installment, but until then, enjoy your time on the mats, and we'll see you around them. Peace.